Gena Jayne. Glad to have you back with us today. Today I have a very special guest, our new mayor of Warner Robins, Randy Toms. Randy, I'm so thrilled you're here with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to spending a little time with you and talking about some exciting things that have gone on and may go on. So I'm really excited to be here.
You know, most people, they would invite you on the air and they're going to talk politics.
Right.
But
happens a lot.
It does happen a lot, especially when you just get elected. But people that know me know that, I want to get into some fun stuff. And of course, I've known you before the campaign.
Right.
And one of the first times I met you, you came in carrying a book.
Right.
Just a Fireman.
Just a Fireman.
And that was our very first conversation.
Right.
And I got to thinking there's probably a lot of people out here that don't know about your book. And I really want to let our audiences know the man behind the position of the mayor and really the book and what drove you to write this book.
I think I was just thinking as you were saying that, it's a lot of times it's safer to just be the man in the position.
That's true. That's
but
true.
Certainly once you've taken the step to write a book and have it published and it's out there for public consumption, there's a lot of stuff in the book that does reveal a lot about who I am and what I've been through and how I've gotten to where I am today. And so I suppose that if my intentions for the book were good and wholesome, then I really do want people to understand who I am and what I'm about and why I wrote the book.
I have, of course, read your book, and I walk away from this book really feeling like I know you. I know the person. And while we're on the show today, I want a glimpse of that for our viewers. And our viewers know that with every show, I do a special giveaway.
Right.
This one to me is extra special because thanks to you, we're going to be able to give away one of your autographed books to one lucky viewer.
Okay.
They'll be able to go online to our website here for the station and register for that. That's something special. This is something very special. I was visiting another city the other day, and I was bringing up the book signing, because you do book signings here with local businesses as well. And there wasn't anybody in that area and that had ever had anybody in office that published their own book, much less did the kind of things with your book that you do. And of course, I'm hinting on something very special. You didn't write this book for personal gain.
Well, it kind of, I don't really know, I never really thought about personal gain when writing a book. What I really wanted to do in writing the book is get a message out.
Right.
And that is that in the book you'll find that, I had a lot of difficulties as a young person and with learning disabilities and things like that made life, a little bit difficult for me. But then I made bad decisions and, took some wrong turns in life that just added on the difficulty for me to see myself as ever becoming anything or reaching goals that other people could reach. And so I don't even think I really thought about profit or no profit or whatever when it comes to the book. I just thought about how many people are out there that view themselves as just to this or just to that because of their lack of education or the bad decisions they've made in life or the difficulties they had in growing up or learning like I did. And so my motivation for writing the book was to see if there was some lives in my sphere of influence that I could have an impact on by writing a book and telling about my life and the story that I've been through. Of course, at the time I published a book, I think I had already began to think about future endeavors, which is somewhat hinted to in the last chapter, but
it is.
I had not yet taken any step towards doing what I'm doing now. But just to think about the impact that life has had on me and some of the people that I write about in the book, and of course the direction that God has taken my life, it's exciting to know where I was and how I viewed myself and where I've come today.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we first met, like I said, it was over the book. And I walked away with the impression that not only did I want to read the book, but that if you could change one person's life through your book, that all the efforts in putting this book together to you would have been worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, and the neat thing about it is that I've heard, you know, people that have read the book and then said, you know, this actually made a difference in my life. And then if it can make a difference in my life, they either share their book or they come back and they get another book from me to hand out to people, because they know that the impact that a person's life story can have on somebody goes way beyond what you can originally. I think you're right, is that if it could change one life, if it could help one person reach goals that they didn't think they could reach, then I'm a success in my book. But at the same time, I've heard several stories of people who have been affected by my story, and that's really what it's all about.
Well, and you're the kind of man that doesn't like to brag on yourself. So that's where I'm going to come into play right now. Not only does your book touch people when they read it, but it touches people when they purchase this book. I know firsthand that with them being available at my shop, that every time someone purchased one of these books, that the proceeds are going to go to the Salvation Army's Cafe 316,
Right.
which is a facility that we have here that's special to our area, that is open for our homeless youth here in Houston County, to get them off the street, give them a hot meal and a shower and so forth. And the proceeds help keep the doors open.
Right.
It keeps children in camp that wouldn't be able to go during the summer. It affects the livelihood of those impacted by domestic violence. It's amazing what the purchase of your book does. It goes to help these different causes, and then the person that reads it, you know they're going to walk away with something special. And that's what I really wanted our viewers to understand, is there's a lot more behind the man here, the new mayor. You know, that takes a lot of heart to not do this and say, I just want all the profit.
Right.
You know, because you do get a lot of acclaim. You are very visible. You know, people will buy this because the mayor wrote it. But long before the mayor wrote it, you were still doing this.
Well, and you know, the thing about it is, and it's always a progression, you know, is that I could easily say, yeah, I wrote a book, and I'm giving all the proceeds to different organizations, and I'm not taking any credit for it. But the thing about it is I've been taught to do that. And let me explain. When you write a book and you get it published, I didn't know this. This is a learning process for me. Is that you order X a number of books. I ordered 3,000 copies of my book, and when I did, they run them, and they estimate how much paper it's going to take to print 3,000 books. I only say that to say this, that when the end of the day came and I had to pay for the books, they had ran 3,143 copies of my book. I had to pay for 3,143 copies of my book. So obviously, I have to pay for the books. And so when I first started selling the books, I couldn't just give any money away.
Right.
So when I decided to start giving the money, the proceeds for the book, to organizations to help other people and not make any money of it off myself, for myself, a local business person approached me and understood that I had a debt still on the books. Now this is what I'm talking about, is that you learn from other people, and that local business person on their own paid off the debt for my book.
Oh, wow.
And so it's bigger than just me. See,
It is,
I've been taught by
is.
people in this community and in my family to step out beyond myself and do something bigger than myself, which is really the point of the book, is that if everybody in our community just stepped out of their comfort zone and did something just a little bit bigger than themselves, how much would get done in our community? It is exciting for me to know that lives are being affected directly by the proceeds from my book. as they go to the Salvation Army Cafe 316. That's exciting to me. I've had the opportunity with the proceeds of my book to help other people, occasionally a family or something. And that's something that I never really envisioned, but that God has opened the door for that kind of stuff to happen because of just me sharing my story with other people, when my desire was to help other people's lives be enriched and grow. It's gone way beyond my dreams.
Absolutely. Our vision can be so limited, but when you allow yourself to actually be used for His will,
right.
There is no end to the good that can come, like the businessman that came and paid off your book.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, and it just continues, and it helps you further helping the community, and that's out of your heart. Like I said, that is not, there's so many people in office that might not take that same approach, not here locally, but
right.
overall, when you think of the new mayor, you don't think of in the trenches actually donating proceeds and helping these families in these institutions that really need our help. But you have not only stepped to the challenge, you've met that challenge.
Right.
And that's kind of what behind the scenes is about. I'm wanting to go behind the scenes with special people, places, events, and really let our viewers feel one with the person or what's happening. Just by meeting you, you're not going to brag on yourself. You're not that kind of man. You're not going to stand up and tell what you're doing with your book, why you're doing it with your book, and who it's helping. So that's where I come in. I get the job at doing that, and that's what I love to do, because I think it's important for our community to know just the kind of man that we have in office.
Well, the other thing that I want to say about the book is that when I wrote the book, like I said, I really wasn't in politics. I wasn't campaigning yet, and I don't think the vast vulnerability that I was open to from writing a book, because having read the book, that I'm quite honest about a lot of the mistakes I made.
Very much so.
But the thing about it is that in retrospect, I've seen a lot of people, and in fact, I still deal with people at least weekly, if not sometimes daily, that have written their purpose off and written what they have to offer, not just our community but our society, because of past mistakes that they've made, and even alcoholism and drug addictions and things like that. That when you change, and especially when you surrender your life to God and allow Him to move in your life, nothing limits you anymore.
That's right.
I mean, I honestly admit to people that I had teachers from when I was in high school that were surprised that I could even read, much less write, and here I have published a book. So I think that kind of opens up the door a little bit to who I am, is that I like to have fun at my own expense, but I like to encourage other people to do bigger things than they think they can do.
That's right. It's that first step. That's the hardest thing, is taking that first step, writing that first page, just absolutely stepping out there and doing it. And after that, you can be amazed what you can do. But you're right. People hold themselves back, with their excuses or with their crutch, because I think there's a certain amount of fear of actually being successful. But look at you. I mean, you've done it. You've published your book. You've got so many things to your credit, and now you're the new mayor. And I mean, you just stepped out there on faith and did every bit of this.
Right.
But
again, it was because, the people that you read about in my book made me who I am today. I think about, even today, sometimes people they come up to me and they say, be funny about something. And I don't know how to just spontaneously be funny, but it was built into me that humor, in fact, the scripture that I use for a certain chapter is that laughter doeth good like a medicine. And it makes us feel better when we're able to laugh and enjoy life. And of course, the chapter in the book that I speak about that is that my mother, even during the times of when I was most hard-headed as a child, still taught me how important it was to laugh and to enjoy life and enjoy other people's company and stuff like that. And so the title of that chapter is My Mother Taught Me to Laugh. And it's still part of who I am today. And there's several people throughout my life as a child and growing up, and then also people in the fire service that have taught me how to be a leader that I like to talk about and give the credit to for making me who I am today.
Well, Mayor, we need to take a break real quick. We'll come back to our viewers in just a minute.
Okay.
Stay with us with Behind the Scenes and our special guest, Mayor Randy Toms.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Gena Jayne. Back with me is Warner Robins' newest mayor, Mayor Randy Toms. Thank you for staying with us. And
Thanks again.
I just have to ask, we've been talking about your book, Just a Fireman.
Right.
And I think the burning question on everybody's mind, and you know where I'm going with this, is when can we expect to read Just a Mayor?
Right. Well, people ask me that all the time. Am I going to write a second book? Of course, the biggest one that asked me is my niece, Taylor Toms, who's in college now up in Athens. And she always wants to know when I'm going to write my second book because she didn't make it into the first one.
Oh.
And so I neglected to put her in the first one, so maybe I have to write another one just for her. But, the thing about it is that for me, and because of some of the struggles that I had as a childhood that actually still carry over, ADD. I mean, I readily admit that I'm quite ADD. My mother always tells me that, or of course my mother's passed away now, but that even in the 1960s that I was one of the few children back then that was on Ritalin. And that's a big deal. So I had struggles like that, and it's still a struggle for me today. I should have been able to write this book in about, 5 or 6 months, and it probably took me over a year. Being the mayor of the city of Warner Robins is probably the most busy thing I've ever done. I mean, there's always something going on. But I do have a desire to write more because I think there's some of the things that I think will help other people that I got, that I left out of the first book. And then also I'm sure some of the stories that I'm going to be able to share from the next few years will need to be put down in book form. And it's of course, I tell people that the only reason I wrote a book was so that I could sign my autograph, because if I hadn't wrote a book, nobody would want it. So I think the newness will wear off of this book, and I'll need my autograph signing again.
That's right.
I'm sure I'll look in serious. I'm not committing anything, okay? But I'm sure I'll seriously look into writing another book, whether it'll be Just a Mayor or not. I think the main thing I want to come across clearly is the gist of the book is not. Everybody always says, well, just a fireman, firemen are more than just a fireman. And that's not the idea of the book. The idea of the book is that I think everybody has a tendency to look at themselves as unimportant and insignificant in life. And what do I have to offer? And the gist of the book for me is that we're not just in anything. Whatever we're doing in life, there's a significant purpose for it. And certainly Scripture says is that God has a plan for our lives. And if we just get involved in that plan, no matter what role we're playing in our community, there's bigger things that we can do. And that's the gist of this book. And so I'll have to take a long, hard look and see what direction I want to go in the next book, if in fact there is a next book. I'm not committing.
We have a feeling there's going to be a next book, and we plan to talk about it when you have it.
Right.
We plan to have that because the viewers are going to hold me to making sure they can get a signed copy of the new one too.
Well, and I like the idea of your show too, of
Thank you.
exposing people to things that otherwise they may not have the opportunity to learn about our community.
Well, being born here, Warner Robins, it is my town, and as I travel, and even right here, staying locally with people moving in and out all the time, I'm always having to kind of bring people up to speed of what makes our area special.
Right.
We do have a special community.
Absolutely.
Our community comes together amazingly well when they know what's going on, and we support places once we know they're there. So by using this show, hopefully I'll be able to take our viewers behind the scenes, show off what's important, who's important, what they need to get behind,
Right.
and really help continue bringing about what makes Warner Robins and our whole Robins
Right.
region special, because it's really not just Warner Robins. With our base here, we
Sure.
interact with so many communities that really helps
Right.
build us up and make something special. With that being said, you're a very important political figure in all of this, because there's a lot of responsibility, not just to your city, but to the community that's affected by everything here within and around the city.
Well, you know, that's something that's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. Is that,
Oh, I bet.
Is that people, you know, are counting on you, and how do we accomplish the things that we set out as goals and we talked about during the campaign, and how do we accomplish some of those things? And for me, it's not an easy thing to do, but for me, the thing I want to focus on is the people that have been out there doing the job, and the people that are more than skilled to get some of the things done that we need to do. In fact, those are the people that I want to personally, in my career as mayor, want to highlight them and let them know how important they are to our community. Because one person, though sometimes one person can set a vision and one person can lead people in a certain direction, one person can't do a job this big and a job of this magnitude by themselves. They have to count on other people to help carry the vision forward. I think Warner Robins has a goal as a community to continue to be the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
Absolutely.
And we continue to get awards such as that and get recognized for being the great community that we are. But I think what you're doing with your show and what we need to do as a community better and more effectively is to highlight some of the people that are behind the scenes, that are not getting the outward recognition. I think this show is not about me as mayor. I think most people in Warner Robins in the Middle Georgia area now understand that I was elected mayor. And if as I go out into the public, I never go anywhere anymore where somebody doesn't say, "Oh, you're the mayor," and that's fun to me, and it's exciting to me that people know that. But I think what you're highlighting today is the fact that I'm also a published author, and I wrote a book, and that's something that people don't know about me.
Exactly.
But there's people in our community that are doing so much, like, for example, the people that are doing some of the artwork that's surrounding us today. They're doing incredible stuff for our community, and that's the people that I want to highlight as we move forward. And then things will start to happen more and more, and people will get more excited about our community than ever before.
I agree. You brought up the artwork. We do have some beautiful artwork today on our set that was brought to us by the Painted Door. We have this wonderful little art gallery now in Warner Robins with artists that have won awards.
Right.
And it's wonderful because we have such a mix in our community.
Right.
Our talent comes from all over. We're able to learn from one another. And you're absolutely right. We need to show it off. And that's very much what I'm trying to do. And I'm hoping with our viewers' support that we can, stay behind the show, stay going behind the scenes, really see what's happening, bring it to the viewers, do some fun giveaways.
Right.
Don't forget to register for the book for today's episode.
And by the way, my book can be purchased, and this is the exciting thing, it can be purchased at your store. I know we're probably needing to wrap up, but at Antique Mall with Miss Susan McRaney, and then at Gottwald Books with Shane Gottwalds, and those are the kind of people that are creating an excitement. You guys are creating the excitement in our community.
Well, I preach shop local on every show. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the shop local element. When you shop local, you know who you're shopping with, you know what kind of quality you're getting, you know the impact it's making for your community right here.
Absolutely.
And you're just a prime example. You get behind the businesses, you really take it in the trenches and take it there to really put it out there. You talk the talk, you walk the walk. You're an amazing man, you're an amazing example for everyone from our children on up, that no matter where they are in their station in life, no matter what cards they've been dealt, they can be anything they want to be. They don't have to be just a victim of their circumstances. And with that, Mayor Toms, I so much appreciate you being on behind the scenes, and I do hope you will continue to be a guest of the show. I've had so much fun with you today, And for our viewers, thank you for hanging in there with us today with Behind the Scenes. I am your host, Gena Jayne, with Mayor Randy
Thank you.
Toms. When you see him out in the streets, you see him out and about, show him some love, show him your support, and let him know you appreciate him being just a fireman.